But what I want to present to you today is how we at Johnson Controls rethink the world of work, and we have a methodology which is called road mapping. So before I go into an explanation of how we use and what road mapping is, I would like to introduce myself shortly, but also the road mapping approach and where it's coming from. So I'm working as a trend researcher at Global Workplace Solutions, but before I started working at Global Workplace Solutions, I started within the automotive experience business. So Johnson Controls is a multinational and multi-industrial company with a core business in automotive and also into buildings. And I started, as I said, within automotive experience. And there I worked with a methodology which was called road mapping. It's called road mapping. And I think it's essential, as you will see, that we still have a collaboration with our automotive colleagues. So that's all about Johnson Controls and myself. So as in structure for today's presentation, what I will do is to introduce you to the road mapping methodology and process, and then show you how we extrapolate from the roadmap that we have future trends that are going to impact the workplace. So road mapping, what is that really? What we do is we map trends from a wider perspective. So what we want to do is to understand from really a wider world, basically mirroring what is happening in the world, trends from a societal perspective, from a demographic perspective, from a technological perspective or industrial perspective, and map those trends over time. So we started within GWS, or Global Workplace Solution, in 2011, and try to look as far out as 2040 or 2050. So we claim to be an interdisciplinary approach and really having this holistic view by looking into all those different areas. And I probably will become more clearer to you in a second. So when I talk about road mapping, this is what I'm talking about. So this is our Global Workplace Solution roadmap. And I know it looks busy and you probably think, well, what is she talking about? But it does make a lot of sense once you understand the process. So what we do is to look into 4 different areas. We have the area of consumer and society, where we want to understand how societies are moving forward, how they are changing, how consumer needs and demands are changing over time. And that's where we map them here in the red layer. In the green layer, we look into industries and markets, so really from a wider perspective, not only looking into real estate or facility management, really looking into all industries that we can see and map those trends. Then we have here one layer which is talking about mobility and how we see mobility changing, and this is due to the fact that we still have a collaboration with our colleagues from automotive going on. And then the last layer that we look in is the blue layer, which is the technology and design layer, where we try to map technologies that we see coming up and map those over the time axis, which you see here basically. So this is an electronic tool that we have, which is Johnson Controls property, and I'm very happy that we have it, because when I started working with road mapping, we had a dedicated room and just some walls where we put all our trends, and it was really a nightmare. So with this tool, we are able to filter trends per industry, per topic, per region even, and have a look at that. So we have the differentiation between the 4 different areas, like I said, consumer and society, markets and industry, mobility and technology. But what we also do is to differentiate between the trend strengths. So what that means is we have 4 different categories that we try to cluster our trends into, which is the mega trend, the global trend, long-lasting, has a really truly global and long-lasting effect, very, very often driven by the red layer, by a change in consumer behaviors or in societal behaviors. Then we have the macro trend, which is still, and that's a square, still a very strong trend in itself, Could be global, could be regional, definitely supporting the mega trend and something that we need and still should watch as it is very strong. Then we have the micro trend, which could be 3 different things. So it could be a very small regional trend where we see, okay, well, this is something local, we need to put it on the roadmap. It could be something like an emerging trend where we say, we see something coming up, but we don't know in which direction it's going to develop. So then we put it as a micro trend on our roadmap. Or it could be a small design trend, like a color trend, which lasts for 1 to 3 years and then gets replaced. But having said that, for us it's very important that we constantly look at the roadmap and update it. So is it still correct in time? Does a trend has shifted in its strength? So we regularly work there, and I work with my colleagues from automotive. So we have a dedicated team to the roadmap that regularly meets to update the roadmap. And then we have the disruptive factors, so that's the triangle where we say this is something that you need to watch because it could have a game-changing effect. Something like a technology like 3D printing, which could revolutionize an industry. Or something like climate change that you need to watch and you need to better be prepared for this. So the roadmap in itself, and you see it's very messy, has a lot of trends, but it doesn't give us any answer. So it's a library of trends, which doesn't help us as it is there. But what we do and how we work with this roadmap is to combine trends from all the different areas. So from society, industry, and technology, and try to make sense out of it by combining trends. And this is what we call a meaningful combination. So only if we connect trends that support each other and understand their impact, then we get really answers out of this. So in a nutshell, what we want to do with road mapping is to really understand trends, developments, and disruptors that are influencing our world, really trying to mirror what is happening in the world, and then understand, by looking into the meaningful combination, what does it mean for us, how is it going to impact either our customers, our industries, or our business itself, and what do we need to do to prepare for these scenarios, and what do we need to do to really respond to those. So the world is changing, and this is what the roadmap basically is telling us. So we see a lot of things happening, and we see that technologies are changing, that cities are changing. So we have here a picture of São Paulo, and many people live in cities, and you know it best what it means to live with so many people together in one city, as it obviously provides a lot of opportunities, but also challenges and challenges that you need to challenge. Then we have technologies changing. And one thing here that you see on this picture is that the Pope is starting to tweet. He's using Twitter and using Facebook. I mean, who would have thought about it 5 years ago? As you were saying, the iPhone is started 7 years ago. Who would have ever thought 7 years ago that the Pope would start to use Twitter and Facebook? And we have been talking about the millennials. We call them digital natives. So the new generation is raising up using technology from the early days on. So they have an iPhone with the age of 6 months. We have technology all the time with us. 24/7, we are connected to technology and probably, even have it in bed, which might be a bit too far, but could become reality, I don't know. Other thing is in the workplace having robotics. So if you're not present or can't be present in a meeting, you can send your little robot to the meeting and still be somehow real there. So we see a lot of things happening and changing, and we need to be prepared for those changes if we like them or not. Another thing that I've seen is, I was really amazed by how far technology is already changing. I don't know if you've heard about this example, but within a month's time, there will be a paralyzed teenager who's wearing a corset And purely by the power of his thoughts, he will be able to move onto the court, onto the football field, and kick the first ball. So that is how far technology brings us already today. It might not be mass, and it might not be relevant or available for everyone, but technology in itself is there. And we will see it again in a month's time, where technology, purely by using the thoughts, will be controlled. So coming back to our roadmap and the trends that we spot that go beyond 2014. So you see here a lot of trends, and unfortunately I do not have the time to explain all of them in detail, but please feel free to come later to me in a coffee break or during lunch, pick one and ask me what we mean by this. I'm happy to explain to you, maybe just to pick some. We have individualization, so very clear. I think we want to individualize ourselves. We have more and more products that really help us to be different and differentiate from other people. We have connected lives due to technology. We are truly connected. We live in a global world. And we have, out of this being all the time connected, a trend that we call micro-boredom. So we are not used to it to be bored anymore, because we constantly have something that keeps our attention, or we get an email, and then we get a text message, and then we get a WhatsApp, and then there's some information. So we rarely bored. But what it means, on the contrary, in terms of communication or for advertisement, is that you need to have snack-size communication, which is really short information that keeps people attention and gets the message across that you really want to get across. In general, what we can say, what the roadmap is telling us, that our world becomes more transparent, and we as individuals, as workers, as company, become more visible. And we work together through social media and all the technologies that it allows us to collaborate. But what is really important, especially as we are facing a digitalized world, is that we don't forget that we are humans, and that we don't forget that we have senses which we need to touch. You know, we still need to know that we are humans. And there are technologies that support that as well, but being human is really the main message that I would like to get across here, and for you to remember. With that, I come probably to the more interesting part for you is, so what have we extrapolate from our roadmap, and what does it mean in terms of workplace trends? We've extrapolated 6 workplace trends that we foresee, and the first one that I would like to talk about is experience society, or experience design, and the trend which is behind this is experience society. So what we do, we're facing an experience society, which means that people long to maximize their personal experiences. Every day they want to transform into something special. They want to be, it should be something more. You know, if you go on holiday, it's not just relaxing on holiday. You want to have a super experience there. If you do sport, you have all these extreme sports that really give you the special experience. And we see this really happening, and we are facing this stimulating society. So organizations can use this and use it to differentiate themselves. And we have seen a lot of examples of how experience design is already entering the workplace. But the workplace is not only a place where you work and where you collaborate, it's also a place where you need to be creative. Because we're facing a society where innovation becomes more and more important. But what we know, and what research is telling us, that 94% of the ideas are not generated within the workplace. So obviously there is a gap between the workplace and how to become creative. And experience design can be one of the solutions to close this gap. And I have been talking about the senses. 5 sense emerging is one of the trends that we have on our roadmap, for example, which is also talking about using technology to touch the senses. So really going into using haptics and acoustics and smell to create a special experience and environment. So here really for companies, the opportunity to change the way we work through creating a different experience. The next trend that I would like to talk about is sustainable for all. So we realize that consumer, and that's what the roadmap is also telling us, is that consumer demands are changing and technologies are changing, which both in combination put more pressure on companies. So what we see is that everything becomes really transparent, and I have been talking about this earlier. So we have, on the one hand, consumers that talk through social media about products, that talk about companies and share information there. But we also have technology like QR codes or barcodes that you can scan, and you get the information about the production, you get information about how sustainable the production line has been. So companies really and truly need to become green. And we have one trend which is called green aesthetics, which brings together green and new technologies. So we had a green development already in the 80s in Europe, where it was all about rejection. So it was about rejecting consumption, it was about rejecting technology. In this development, what we see now, it's about the combination. It's about being green through the use of latest technologies and advanced technologies. There's one example in Rotterdam, I believe it is. There's a dance club where they put springs in the floor, and through the movement that people create in this dance club, they generate electricity that they then use for the DJ and for the light. And so a really nice and innovative way to be green. And this is what we see, and therefore also for companies, the opportunity to be green, as they can't avoid it anymore, to be honest, because of this transparency. And one of our research also was telling us that 94% of the employees want their employer to go beyond environmental compliances and really actively engage into green solutions. So it is something that you can't avoid anymore. The next trend is pixel everywhere. And we have been talking about it a lot, and me too, so I see pixel everywhere. We all use technology, and we're entering a digitalized world, and the cost of technology is decreasing. So technology becomes very quickly accessible for everyone, and it very quickly becomes replaced. So we use technology really everywhere. In the presentation earlier, we heard about wearable technology. So there are a lot of examples where we have technologies. And of course, it's also something that we see entering into the workplace. And we have the trend of bring your own device. So employees bring their own device into the workplace because this is the technology that they know. This is the technology that they are used to, and they know, and they are very efficient with this. So allowing and providing an environment where you use technology and have the opportunity to support all the different activities that you do within the workplace, this is something that we see. And also here, a number, 62% of the respondents consider high use of touch-only computing devices in 2020, while it is today only 16%. So this is coming out of a research that we have done asking throughout various industries. The next trend I would like to talk about is intensive collaboration, and we have heard it today already so many times. So collaboration technology become available for people, and they use it, and they want to collaborate as it increases efficiency, and also companies see it as a huge potential to increase productivity and innovation. So they see it as a competitive advantage. And one from our Collaboration 2020 report, we learned that today we have collaboration spaces on average 30% by 30%, and in 2020 it will increase to 70%, so it will completely turn around. So we're talking here about the workplace and built-in collaborative technologies, but we're talking, of course, also about co-working, you know, not only within a company being collaborative, but also opening up to other companies and use the right and choose the right partners to work with. So the fifth trend, I think, is digital nomads. And we're talking here about the fact that mobility increases, coupled with latest and mobile technologies. We're really going away from the traditional office and transforming into a digital workplace. And we also, again, have been talking already about the digital nomads or the millennials that are entering into the workplace and have a different understanding of using technology and dealing with technology. So we're talking about the physical and the virtual workplace that needs to get ready for this trend and really develop strategies that transform the business into a nomadic business culture. And we know from our digital native research that digital natives say we have two hands, we have two legs, and we have technology. And if you take away my technology, it feels like you take away my leg. So they are really addictive to the technologies that they have. And to be honest, they have never learned to live without and plan a day without the technology that they have. And they claim themselves, when we asked them to describe how they would describe themselves, they said, we are Apple and we do Facebook. So they have two really innovative companies that they very, very strongly associate with. And they describe themselves as having an on-the-flyness mentality and an always-on lifestyle. So they are always connected and use constantly technology. So companies need to get ready for that and really provide solutions that support this level of mobility. And then coming to the last trend that I would like you to introduce to is total engagement. And I've heard that Brazilians really like to play and use apps to play. So here's the good news. Gamification in the workplace. Farmville is played by about 31 million people every day. And there is the Harvard University studying this trend, how you could make use of the principle of gaming in the workplace to really drive engagement and motivation within the workplace. So it goes that far that you have a virtual world, you have avatars, and they are playing in a positive way and have competition against each other. With this, what do we need to, or what can we learn from that, and how can we get prepared for this? The first thing is really accepting that there will be a change. Accepting that we're not going to work the way we work today. And we have been talking about nomadic behavior, so companies need to provide solutions like always being plugged in and plugged out, providing solution to be always on and work from everywhere you can, provide digital environments and interaction like we had with wearable technology. You know, we have technology everywhere and we need to make use of this digital environment, create a new work experience. And I had the chance to walk a little bit around São Paulo, and I see that a lot of retailers already make really use of this and create an environment which is so beautiful to go into. And why shouldn't the workplace also be an environment where you like to go into? So responsive and adaptable environments, not only from a sustainable perspective, but really generally be adaptive and flexible towards your employee needs, and support really intensive collaboration because your employees have it in their DNA, and especially the digital natives. So with that, I would like to close my presentation and remind you again that we're talking about a workplace, about a space where we have people and where people interact with each other. So it's not about business to business, it's not about business to consumer, it's about human to human.